the United Kingdom, and the United States. I'm your host. I'm a state certified driving instructor. I teach in the Midwest of the United States. Congestion. I was at Ford Field yesterday. We flew in to see an American football game. It was incredible. There was Eminem, who is Marshall Mathers. There was Sean. It was an incredible feat to see the Detroit Lions beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But toward the end, there was tremendous traffic congestion. Heavy traffic can be very overwhelming and very stressful. So as a driver, going to the United States is very overwhelming. Going to the UK is very overwhelming too. Next, fear of accidents. There are thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of people who are walking out in the middle of the streets when Detroit won. The same thing in the UK. There are thousands of people walking around everywhere. Pedestrians do not follow the rules. They're walking in the middle of their streets. They're walking between cars. So fear of accident is another big concern. Next, high driving speeds. US 10 takes you from the suburbs of Metro Detroit to downtown Detroit. I-94, Interstate 94, it takes you from the suburban areas to downtown Detroit. You need to be aware the heavy volumes of traffic are incredible. Also, I've been on the 401 up to Montreal, as well as Toronto. So you have to be aware of high-speed traffic, people driving very fast, 5 over, 10 over, 12 over on the expressway. So you have to be really aware of that. Next, navigating complex road systems. I just mentioned some of the roadways in a Metro Detroit area: 375, 275, 696, 401, taking from Toronto, Windsor, on up into Montreal. I've been on these roads before. You, as a driver, must know how to navigate these roads. You must understand what the expectation is when you have heavy traffic driving on these roads. So it's really important. You want to have great speed control. You want to understand the route. If you're in a downtown area, you must be cautious. You must cover your brake. You must take your time. I'll be comparing some of the UK, United Kingdom reasons for fear of driving, as well as the United States. And this will give you some tips also. So there is a complex road system. I would catch a little bit of anxiety and fear driving in the UK. They drive on the left. I know how to drive a manual. I know how to go into a roundabout, but when you have roundabouts that are multiple lanes and multiple things, you really need to take a step back, understand what the examiner is asking you to do. Driving in adverse weather. I live in the Midwest. It is 24 degrees, wind chill minus 24. Cars don't start properly. Your windshield could be full of frost. You're going to be bringing your car in. You need to have windshield washer solvent. You need to make sure you understand that your car is not going to work as good as it normally does when it's cold. If you have an electric car, a Tesla, then you may lose range. So with those things in mind, it's going to be cold. Fear of getting lost. Getting lost in a downtown Detroit, a downtown Toronto, downtown Montreal, where they speak French and I speak English, there's a cultural clash. There's a difference. So I, as an American going to Montreal, going to Windsor, need to understand the language. I need to understand the signs, right? They're in kilometers. I'm used to miles per hour. In the UK, they're in kilometers. I'm used to miles per hour. There are aggressive drivers everywhere. They are reckless drivers everywhere who are in a hurry. Coming in to the States yesterday to go see the Detroit Lions play, there were thousands of people in downtown Detroit. It was very overwhelming. It was hard to find a parking spot. Eminem was there. Big Sean was there. There were multitudes of celebrities there. So what does this mean? The regular people like you and I, it's impossible for even get into that area. Next, road rage incidents, concerns of confronting or being confronted with people who have road rage. I'm trying to get out. I'm trying to wait. People are cutting in front of me in Mercedes trucks. People are cutting in front of me in Mustangs and Trackhawks and Scat Packs. These are brand name American cars. They are cutting in front of me. I'm trying to be a safe driver. People are walking out ahead of me. You understand what I'm saying? People were overwhelmed when the Detroit Lions won. Mechanical failures. Is my car going to break down? Am I going to have a flat tire? Will my car start from the airport? Will my car start when I leave downtown Detroit? That's fear. That's anxiety. Will I make it back to Metro Airport to fly back out? Will I get there on time? I don't have a driver. I'm driving myself. Can I find a parking spot? I don't want to park illegally. I'll get my car towed. So they're unfamiliar roads. The same thing if I went to the UK. I don't know those main roads. I know how to read a map. I know how to understand GPS. But going to a different country, driving on the left, driving a manual, that's a lot of anxiety. My heart will be beating. I'll start sweating. I'll have heart palpitations. Driving at night, that's even more overwhelming. The city landscape of downtown Detroit is beautiful. You have the Detroit River, you have the Renaissance, but there are thousands and thousands of people there. There are over 66,000 people on Ford Field, not to mention all the restaurants, okay, such as Coney Island, such as M&M's pop-up shop, Mom's Spaghetti. So there are people there getting a piece of an American culture. They're posing, they're taking pictures. It's very overwhelming. And if you're a beginning driver, you do not want to go down there. But in some cases, you have to go down there to see an event, to tape it live, and to drive down there, and then to drive out of that area to Metro Airport, which is a whole nother situation. Fear of a DUI. There are people consuming alcohol. And these alcoholic beverages, 25, 35, they're consuming alcohol. And then these people are getting in cars. I do not drink and I do not condone drinking, particularly when you're driving. You need to have a designated driver. So people are consuming alcohol. This leads to fear and anxiety. Parallel parking, you have to know how to parallel park. I'll say it again. In a downtown Detroit area, you have to know how to parallel park. If you don't get that spot. And you're circling around 6 blocks trying to find a parking spot. And your time is running out. You need to wait in line, and it's an hour to get in. And then you have to go to the bathroom. Then you have to find your seat. Then someone is sitting in your seat. SEAT. So this is stress and anxiety. If you've ever been to a concert, a professional sporting event, it's very overwhelming. And if you don't prepare for this mentally, you're going to be overwhelmed. It's just like me going to the UK to see a soccer game, a football game, and I have to try to find a parking spot. I have American currency. So it's very overwhelming. Fear of tunnels. There is a tunnel from Windsor to Detroit, Michigan, United States. If you have not been in a tunnel before, you get claustrophobic. There is a bridge, the Ambassador Bridge, that's from downtown Detroit, United States of America, USA, going across to Windsor. You have to understand about the bridge being elevated, the wind blowing. It's freezing, it's cold, okay? That's another important thing that I'm trying to help you guys understand. You need to prepare for the cultural shock, the cultural experience. Inexperience, lack of due to driving experience. If you're in a downtown area, you will be overwhelmed with the number of people trying to get to that sporting event, trying to find parking, the cost of parking. You might have to walk a half a mile, a quarter of a mile. You're worried about your car. Is my car going to be there when I come back? Driving on the opposite side of the road. This is in the UK. I'm in the United States. We drive on the right, R-I-G-H-T. I would have a difficult time learning because I'm used to driving on the right all of my life. So it's really important that you drive comfortably, you drive consistently, and you take your time. It would take me a few days to understand about driving on the left because I was born in the United States. I do have a passport, but I was born in the United States. I'm used to driving on the right side of the road. The same if my UK brothers and sisters came over to the United States. Oh, let's go out to a sporting event. Mate, you're driving on the wrong side of the road. No, we're in America. The same thing if I went to the UK. Mate, we're on the wrong side. No, we drive on the left. Okay? Fear of roundabouts. That's very overwhelming. I take clients through there daily. Driving through a roundabout can be very overwhelming. And with the large volumes of traffic, if you miss your turn, you miss your turn. Pedestrians crossing. Being in that downtown Detroit environment yesterday was very overwhelming. If you've never seen thousands and thousands of people walking in front of you, you have a green light. Walking over your car. And if you look at them, they're going to look at you and possibly fill up your car. So it's a very surreal experience. It's very stressful. Fear of being alone, concerns about pedestrian safety, driving alone without the company. I'm not scared to drive by myself. And it takes time. When you learn how to drive in those young stages, you need to drive through your neighborhood. You need to drive through your community. You need to drive in a 10-mile radius, then a 20-mile radius, and then go to downtown if you live in the metro area. Go out to the country if you live in a metro area. Take main roads out. Go from the black area to the white area, to the Filipino area, to the Latino area. Get that cultural enrichment. That is so important. If you just drive in your regular area, all you know is how to drive in your regular area. Driving in rural areas can be very anxiety-filled. You see cows. There's a soft shoulder. Dirt is very dangerous because it's a soft shoulder. You can literally fall off the road. Distractions. There are people everywhere. And then health concerns, fear of a medical emergency. What if I have a medical emergency and I'm nowhere near a hospital? What if I have a heart attack? What if I have a panic attack? What if I have a stroke? I'm trying to give you some real life information to help you understand about the differences between driving in the UK and driving in the United States. At the end of the day, they're helpful people like me. I'm like your United States of American uncle who's a driving instructor. And I imagine I would have another uncle or cousin or niece or nephew who's in the UK who would support me, who would help me, because when you're driving in these areas, it's very overwhelming. And you're unfamiliar. You're trying to get to the theater, a sporting event. You're trying to park safely near your event. But unfortunately, all the parking spots, there are limousines. You see pro athletes. Those spots are reserved. I'm a regular person. I'm a driving instructor. I'm a teacher. So with this message, when you go to a downtown area, you need to have a full tank of gas. Gas is a lot more expensive. When you go to the downtown area, you need to be aware because things are different. It's a different lifestyle in downtown Windsor, downtown Detroit, in the downtown areas of the UK. People act different. They talk different. But they're not really different once you get to know them. I need you to be a safe driver. I need you to understand that you have to plan. Many of you are going to use your GPS on your phone. You're not going to have a paper map. You need to have your phone charged. You need to have cash in your pocket as well as a debit or credit card. I recommend you have both. You need to have pants that zip up because they are pickpockets there. You need to have emergency cash. Tickets were going upwards of $500 to $750. Beers are very expensive. A bottle of water is over $7.50, not $700. And you want to buy some merchandise. That's part of, if I went to the UK, I would love to buy some merchandise. That's part of the experience. And then you post it on your social media. So what I really need you guys to do is just take a step back. And when you travel, because I've been up to Montreal before, Okay, I've been to Niagara Falls before, taking that up through into Buffalo, New York. I've traveled, and when you travel, you want to make sure your car does not break down. When you travel, you want to make sure you stay full of fuel, even if they're in kilometers or they're in metric. You want to know the exchange rate of your currency, right? That's important because in the UK they're in pounds. And in the United States, we have the American dollar, so there's an exchange rate. You also want to kind of have that expect anything attitude, be humble, don't live or walk in fear, because if you live or walk in fear, people will see that fearful look on your face. And you will have big eyes once you get to a downtown Detroit, a downtown Chicago, downtown Toronto, downtown Montreal. You have to mix in with the culture. You have to be yourself. You need to remember, where did I park? What street? If you need to take a picture, that's what I would do. And remember those streets, because it's going to take 25 minutes to 45 minutes to get out of the stadium or the basketball stadium or the football stadium. Then everyone has to go use the bathroom. Then you got to wait in line for 10 minutes. Then it's halftime. You've got to go get food. Do you have enough money to get gas? There's certain gas stations, petrol stations, you should not stop at because you're going to be vulnerable. You're going to be a victim. So you need to you mean I can't just go down there? You could go down there free, no planning, but it won't be a good outcome. You need to plan. Don't fear. I'm not fearful of going to the UK. I'm not fearful of going to Montreal. I'm not fearful of going to Toronto. Drake is from Toronto. I'm not fearful of going to Houston, Texas, which I've been before. I'm not fearful of going to California, which I've been before. It's an experience, and you need to prepare for the different prices in gasoline, for the different prices of food, to make sure you have enough money. I want to say thank you if you enjoyed. If you did enjoy this, give it a thumbs up, subscribe. I also have a podcast. It's called Driving with Myles, Myles. I want to say thank you. I hope you enjoyed this. Bye.